We need your help, Star Fox.
Open the wings. Don't get too cocky.
Hello, and welcome. I'm Zabraxi. Man, that'll teach me to try to break the laws of physics and attempt interdimensional travel. And all that time I was in there and I didn't even find a copy of Star Fox 64 like I wanted. Oh hey! I found it! Sweet. What do you call a series that's second release is already a remake? Star Fox. Despite the success of the original Star Fox on the SNES, apparently Nintendo decided the next logical options were to cancel the second game and then reboot the entire series. Completely reasonable actions. Something I wanted to capture in my first video on Star Fox is that the game was so critically important. Even beyond that though, its place in the industry was settled and the sales numbers backed it. Both the large amount of money made and the introduction of a new technology like the Super FX chip firmly solidified the Star Fox name as a new first-party IP for Nintendo, only this time made by Westerners. Now that the full version of Star Fox 2 is officially playable, we can also take a look at if perhaps that was the reason for the shift in development and the reboot that soon came after. Honestly, Star Fox 2 was, yeah, it wasn't great. Some of the design choices were a bit odd coming off the first game. Easily, the largest hurdle though, was technology. The developers were already pushing the tech to its limit with Star Fox 1, and trying to do more with the same amount of power was just unreasonable. Come on. Do better. So the Nintendo 64 was currently in development, and Nintendo was the clear juggernaut of the video games industry. It was around this time that they and Argonaut Games, who did the majority of the work on Star Fox, would enter what I would call a totally healthy and not at all abusive relationship. So imagine you're Argonaut Games, and you just developed the tech for and released a brand new Nintendo IP to massive sales and critical praise. This is the dream, right? We can see a modern example of this today, actually. Mercury Steam released Samus Returns, which did decently well, and was granted another shot at the series with Metroid Dread, potentially one of the greatest Metroids or Metroidvanias that we've had in a very long time. This has led to a partnership between the two companies, and many, myself included, are excited to see what Mercury Steam will cook up with Nintendo next time. This was a great redemption arc, since Mercury Steam also released the Castlevania Lords of Shadow games back in the day, which were, you know, totally fine. Rareware was another company during the 90s that had won Nintendo's favor. The absolutely insane Super Nintendo lineup that Rare produced seemed to make the two companies inseparable. Until they separated, that is. Point is, Argonaut had proven themselves, and the world was excited for what they were to make next. So what was that project to be? Well, they actually had two pitches to Nintendo. One was Star Fox 2, which was basically done and never released, and the other was a 3D platformer with Yoshi as the main character. It's important to note that at this time, the world had never seen a 3D platforming game on a home console, so this was gonna be game-changing. Oddly enough though, Nintendo saw the project, loved it, and then canceled the contract with Argonaut. Wait, what? The Argonaut team would go on to rebrand and finish the game with the scraps of the team they had left, which would end up becoming Croc on the PS1, Saturn, and PC. While Croc was nowhere near the legendary masterpiece of Super Mario 64, it still made the company more money than their partnership with Nintendo ever did. Think about that for a second. This would be the final chapter of Argonaut's relationship with Nintendo, and it ended in a bit of a, what's a polite way to put it, slap in the face? As former head of Argonaut Jez-san said, quote, "I'm not bitter, but I do feel that Argonaut was used and then spat out by Nintendo," end quote. While a breakup like that does suck, at least Mario 64 and Croc were both able to release. I mean, it's not like Nintendo went and stole the idea from Argonaut or anything. Miyamoto-san went on to make Mario 64, which had the look and feel of our Yoshi game, but with the Mario character, of course, and beat Croc to market by around a year, San says. Miyamoto-san came up to me at a show afterwards and apologized for not doing the Yoshi game with us and thanked us for the idea to do a 3D platform game. Oh, yikes. Well, Nintendo's not perfect. Alright, enough of the Mario 64 crap, let's jump into Star Fox 64, because this right here, we at least know Nintendo made this all on their own with nothing and no help from Argonaut. They canned Star Fox 2 even though it was finished and used much of our code in Star Fox 64 without paying us a penny. You are being so bad, Nintendo! Alright, so here we are, Star Fox 64. Since the original two games had such an amazing intro and menu screen, what do we have here? So, we have General Pepper asking the Star Fox team for help, then we get this really cool roll call where we get to meet the team. Slippy Toad, Best Boy, Peppy Hair, Internet Influencer, Falco Lombardi, Reddit user, and Fox McCloud 1v1 me in Smash, brother. Our team jumps into their R-Wings, ready to head to protect Corneria. They fly out and wait, that's actually the menu screen. Guess Corneria is gonna have to— wait, you can move the 64 logo? Ah, yeah, look at it go! Look at it go! Oh, heck yeah, baby. Top 3 N64 games for sure. I don't care. Literally, you can move the logo, watch it go, watch it go, watch it go. Alright, anyway, let's start up the main game. Immediately, before we have any gameplay, we have some new lore we need to establish. It's now that we find out that we aren't just playing a remake, but a full reboot with additive retcons right out of the gate. While the original Star Fox claimed that Fox's father, James McCloud, went missing near the black hole, with 64, we have a slightly different story. James and Peppy were betrayed by Pigma, in which James and Peppy were captured by Andross, but Peppy barrel rolled out. So, yet again, we have the second Star Fox game that never explicitly states that James was killed. So as of the third game in, there's still hope that James is still flying around out there. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but he's not dead until it says he's dead.
A few years have passed. Andross has again invaded the Lilat system.
By the way, don't you just love how the narrator sounds like he's already fed up with Andross's crap?
Okay, sir, just go ahead and read the opening monologue, and that should about wrap it up for the day.
Okay, yeah, sure. You got it.
Despite the end of the Lilat Wars, Andross was on vacation, where his boredom got the better of him, and he, yet again, for the 17th time, decided to invade Corneria.
Oh man, I can't wait to see where this goes. It's here that the core of Star Fox 64 is almost identical to the original. You will always start at Corneria and always end at Venom. There are still multiple routes to take, and bombs and laser upgrades will be common collectibles along the way. This fundamental baseline doesn't change pretty much at all. In essence, this is everything that you'd expect from a sequel to a game. The core philosophy and mechanics remain intact, and where Star Fox 64 shines over its predecessor is in all of the additive interactions and systems that further elaborate what flying through the Lilat system could be like. For example, we now have supply rings. These are silver and gold and just kind of appear in the middle of air because, you know, that's how rings work. Oh, never mind. Whew. These things are actually okay. These are only defensive. They actually give you extra shield and can even double your life bar. They're here to protect you and in no way pose any sort of— The laser power-ups remain essentially the same as the original Star Fox. You can get twin blasters up to twice for a super powerful attack. A key difference, though, is that you now start off with a charge shot that can turn into a homing attack when the reticle glances over a target. This addition to Star Fox 2 was pivotal, and easily my largest complaint with the upgrade was that it was even an upgrade to begin with. Such a mechanic just felt at home as a baseline ability for Fox, and thankfully, 64 agreed, and you now have the charged homing shot right out of the gate. Star Fox 2 does even more legwork by ensuring that 64 has access to all range mode. There are now several times throughout the game where you are no longer on rails across a linear level, but instead let free to roam across a 3D battle arena. This is mostly used for bosses, but even occurs for some entire levels, such as the Mothership stage, and also when you have to defend Great Fox from incoming missiles.
Can't let you do that, Star Fox.
Oh yeah! Potentially one of the most famous introductions in all of video games. The Star Wolf team shows itself and serves as the opposing mercenary force who is fighting for Andross. Yet again, another Star Fox 2 introduction. These stages are some of my favorites, where you are engaged in 4-on-4 dogfights, Star Fox versus Star Wolf. There is this constant ebb and flow to these encounters, as you just have to try and focus down your enemies, while also needing to take a step back in order to defend the other members of your team.
My beautiful reward! Uncle Andros! This can't be happening! I can't move!
While the Chicken Walker from Star Fox 2 doesn't present itself in 64, the team does gain access to 2 more vehicles in addition to the R-Wing. The first is the Blue Marine, an underwater vessel that everyone in the world seems to hate, and I absolutely adore. I don't know, guys, I'm sorry. While you're navigating the Blue Marine, you have infinite ammo and infinite bombs, which allows you to just blow up everything. How is that not fun? Oddly, though, this only shows up in a single level. Just one. One that is incredibly contentious amongst the player base. Oh, but come on, why would people actually hate a stage like Aquas? All right, so let's take an honest look here. We have underwater level, check. And yeah, that should about do it. While the original Star Fox had moments where each team member shined, 64 amplifies that even further. Team members now also have their own shields and can go down if you don't assist them.
Fox, get this guy off me!
Yeah, look, while Slippy is pretty infamous for always being in trouble, something to keep in mind is that on my over 6 to 7 playthroughs across 64 and 64 3D, I counted. I actually found that Falco, of all people, needed the most help in my playthroughs. Though Slippy needing assistance is pretty fitting considering he's a young mechanic and the newest to piloting his invention of the R-Wing, the Blue Marine, and the Landmaster. But I'm not here to be a Slippy sympathizer. What I am here to say is that each member has their own individual benefits and perks to the gameplay, Slippy included. For example, whenever you bump into a boss, as long as Slippy is still active, he will analyze Andross's lieutenant's shields and display them on Fox's heads-up display as health bars.
Enemy shield analyzed!
Let's see what you've got.
We also have the wise one of the group, Peppy. He'll constantly give the player tips throughout a stage and even teach them the mechanics as you play through the game. If you're fighting a boss, for example, you'll even get pointers on weak spots and how to dodge certain attacks. Some of these can be more subtle, like the start of the asteroid field level.
It's quiet. Too quiet.
While others are more overt, like his famous line,
Do a barrel roll!
By the way, that Google Easter egg still works after all these years if you Google the phrase dual barrel roll. So what about the ace pilot of the group, Falco? Well, Falco serves 3 specific purposes. First is that he'll help you shoot down more enemies across a stage. Considering kill count is actually how you'll unlock medals, unlock expert mode, and access certain secrets, this is pretty handy. Also during a level, you might sometimes see Falco sweep across the screen and destroy an object which might spawn an upgrade or even a supply ring. Falco will also show the players secrets and hidden routes.
Follow me, Fox!
This is critical to accessing every stage throughout the game. Oh, and there's even a hidden purpose for Falco Lombardi, by the way. His primary purpose, above all else, is to be an asshole.
Fox, you're supposed to shoot them all? Hey, Einstein, I'm on your side. I guess I should be thankful.
You're damn right you should be. So Nintendo created Star Fox in 1993, and as of the recording of this video, we are at 8 mainline games, with Star Fox 64 being a reboot right off the bat. And while we're at it, let's talk about Star Fox 64 3D, which is a remake of the reboot. So as of right now, we are at 8 mainline Star Fox games, with 3 of them fundamentally being the same thing, yet people still love this series. Star Fox fans are pretty damn patient. And this doesn't even count Star Fox Zero, which is actually a reboot of the remake of the reboot. So if you haven't noticed by now, I don't really have that much bad to say about Star Fox 64. Even its remake, 64 3D, is potentially even better. It's not that I'm shy about criticizing games, not at all. I do often criticize games I love, even ones I exceptionally love. except Legend of Dragoon, of course. The 3DS version of Star Fox 64 is an improvement in almost every conceivable way. Almost. The voice lines in 64, though, are next level. Every boss fight is filled with memorable one-liners that kind of give the game this charming B-movie feel.
Cocky little freaks! Step on the gas! No! Hit the brakes! I can't stop it!
I can't believe I lost to this scum! I've got a present for you. I will not be defeated by this worm.
Cocky little freaks!
Oh yeah, I played that line twice. Just because it's awesome. We then get the comparisons between the N64 version and now the 3DS version. Graphically, I mean, yeah, the 3DS version isn't even just a step up, it's leaps and bounds a better looking game, and I was blown away when I started playing it for this video. Something else I noticed across my way through, though, is the voice lines. While I've used the N64 versions of the lines for the start of this video, that's mostly a nostalgic choice. In terms of quality, it really goes back and forth. Some lines feel more impactful in the 3DS version, some feel less so, and some are equally great, just different. I personally do prefer the lower quality of the N64 lines, but I have to say, there's an incredibly strong bias here, and I can't escape that, and I think it's important to be honest about that. It's a confession I need to make.
Hi, I'm Zabraxi, and I like Star Fox 64.
Hello, Zabraxi. So, I've made it this far into the video, and I have been holding something back. Look, I just need to gush about Star Fox 64 and 64 3D for a second. Here it goes. These levels are just so imaginative. Holy cow. Like, one level, you're flying through the city of Corneria, and then you're zooming through the asteroid belt. And then somehow I'm in some weird, creepy dimension thing because I trusted my instincts, and now I'm over here on a tank saving Slippy from some undead, creepy thing. And then there's even a level that takes place on a star itself. Bosses, oh my goodness, the bosses are nuts, by the way. Like, this guy from the original game is a secret boss in Corneria. That's cool. This guy on a train who trash talks you the entire time? What an asshole. What even is this thing that I'm chasing down, by the way, in this temple on Venom? Not a clue, but it's really fun to chase after him. Oh, and Andross. Normal Andross is kind of weird, but already way better than the SNES version. And hard mode Andross, you actually fight this guy's brain and eyes. How wild is that? And then James McCloud helps you escape Venom, and we don't even know all these years later if he's actually alive or not, or if Fox was just on psychedelics and hallucinating. This is the first game that had a rumble pack also, which is really cool, and it made your controller go all crazy every time something happened. Oh, and you remember Bill in that Independence Day level? That was neat. Oh, and let's not forget how Kat also shows up in a couple stages herself. Just randomly says hi, flirts with Falco, and bails. Something I also thought was actually really cool was how Star Fox actually sends General Pepper a bill at the end of the game. Isn't that so cute? Pay up, buddy. Yeah, you know how everybody hates Slippy for being captured in Sector X? Well, it's actually the player's fault for being bad at the game if this happens. Yeah, did you lose Slippy? Yeah, did you get annoyed? Well, it was actually your lack of action that had dire consequences for your team like it would in real life. And the banter, oh my goodness, the party chatter is so good. I love this rivalry between Slippy and Falco as they always just give each other crap. They were rolling at just the right time to deflect the blast, and hearing that noise is so satisfying. Star Fox 64 is just so good. I freaking love this game, man. There's multiple routes to explore. You go back and forth between them. It's tight gameplay. I mean, everything's just great. The N64 version is great. The 3DS version is great. You're great. And even the multiplayer is great. Yeah, Star Fox 64 has multiplayer, and okay, it's not actually great, but it's decent. But no one ever talks about it, so I want to talk about it. It's a deathmatch with up to 4 players, each controller port playing as a different member of the Star Fox team. And you're not just tied to the R-Wing either. You also have the option to unlock the Landmaster instead if you prefer. Also, if you get a medal on every single stage and then beat Venom on Expert Mode, you'll unlock the ability to play as the Star Fox characters on foot in the multiplayer. On foot! In the multiplayer. Everyone gives Star Fox Assault all this credit for being the first, but here we are, 1997, and on foot. Hell yeah, baby. The 3DS version is even better, with more maps to play on and multiple game modes as well. You can also just use download play, so only one copy of the game is even needed for multiplayer. I still couldn't find any friends to play with, so yeah, here's some footage of me playing against CPUs. Riveting, I know. By the way, I just want to let you know, the AI is actually really good. I died a lot in the multiplayer. There is something really odd about the 3DS multiplayer, though. They removed the on-foot mode. Why? What a weird thing to get rid of. Star Fox 64 is still one of the best arcade-style games that I've played to this very day. My N64 cartridge has had more playthroughs than I can genuinely remember, and even my first time now across the 3DS version has only amplified what made the original so legendary. Despite the fact that it's easy to cynically look back and question why a reboot was needed on the second official release, either way, what we did get is one of the best pick-up and play experiences that you can possibly have. Throughout the writing of this episode, I really wrestled with how to sum up some of my thoughts. I don't have almost anything bad to say about Star Fox 64, even when I try to look at it through an exceptionally critical lens. I can't look into its problems and offer solutions for future iterations, and then see if the next title capitalizes on those specific problems, because I struggled to find the problems. So I'm gonna cop out right now, and I wanna close by using someone else's words, because quite honestly, it's exactly how I feel, and I don't think I could do it better. Thomas Whitehead over at Nintendo Life looked at the game, and despite the fact that his article proved that I'm still the only single human being who actually enjoys Slippy Toad, his second opinion on Dave Freer's original review matches my thoughts exactly. It's debatable how well a lot of N64 games have aged, but that's not a problem for Star Fox 64. It still looks fantastic, is still an absolute peak in its genre, and is wonderful on a first or 101st playthrough. Its simplicity and approach is a strength, and while these review second opinions are typically reserved for alternative views on a game, I can't allow it. This is a stone-cold classic that is still wonderful to play. It's ageless. Star Fox 64 set the stage for this franchise to be one of the greatest arcade-styled IPs in all of gaming, and I really can't wait to hit the next one and see just how Fox and the gang continue to push this genre forward among this series of 8 titles so far. That, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye! So who am I kidding? We all know that Star Fox gets really fucking stupid from here on out.